Hello!
Hello and welcome back to the Chanel, as they say in some part of France, which maybe doesn't actually, but that's besides the point. Speaking of France, it's apparently quite classy. You know what else is quite classy? A Hall of Fame. There you go. Professional man. I can do links and stuff. So yes, the Premier League has announced that they will be having a Hall of Fame in March time, I believe. They've been announced that the first two inductees will go into it, and no one knows who it is. It's all very X Factor, isn't it? So since no one knows who's actually going into the bloody thing, we amongst us have had a wee chat and decided that we're going to put forth 5 candidates each. That's that many, not that's 10. Who we think would be very good candidates to go in on the first ballot. There have been, like we say, 2 announced already. No one knows who's going in yet. But I imagine that it's going to, well, there's talk of it being, Ryan Giggs?
There's talk of Giggs and Ferguson.
Giggs and Ferguson. Now, a list like this is obviously going to be extremely subjective, so these are the 5 that we have picked individually. Of course, they will not be the same as your 5. That is what the comments section is for. Let us know down below who your 5 would be. And you can put them in order if you want. It's variety. It's apparently the spice of life, even though it's paprika, because paprika goes with everything. But before we get into our 5 that we've picked, there's plenty of honourable mentions that I feel that we should address. For example, like Arsene Wenger, Patrick Vieira, David Beckham, Tony Adams, John Terry, Cristiano Ronaldo, Gianfranco Zola, Dennis Bergkamp. They will not be making it into my top 5.
Yes, my honourable mentions are as follows.
Well, include, because you've got like 19 pages, so...
Well, no.
So include.
Include, okay. Include.
Thank you.
Sir Bobby Robson.
Good lad, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Peter Schmeichel, Rio Ferdinand, Steven Gerrard, Wayne Rooney, and one that a lot of people are going to look at me and go, what? Brian Deane.
Brian Deane. Tell you what, shall we get... If you know why Brian Deane is an honourable mention, stick it in the comment section.
Stick it in the comment section, go on.
So without further ado, do you know what without further Freddy ado, we shall crack on with our top 5. And for the most part, our 5 are both different, I believe, except for one.
Except for one.
Which is the first one, and we've already mentioned him, and it is, of course, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Sir Alex Ferguson. It's, personally speaking, the name speaks for itself, his record speaks for itself. How can you not put the man in?
He's got 13 Premier League titles.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous. 13 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 2 Champions Leagues. He did that treble thing that you just won't shut up about.
More trebles than you've ever won, calm yourself down now.
The bloody Fairs Cup counts as a thing.
Yeah, but you didn't win 3 of them in one season, so
we've won 3 trophies, that's as good as anything.
In like 40 years.
There's no time for him. Shut up!
Sir Alex has also won 27 Manager of the Month awards.
Which is pitiful compared to the amount of months he was in charge. That's awful. It's not really. I'm just bitter and jealous.
He was also the first ever Manager of the Month in the Premier League, just as an extra little stat.
He's won 11 Premier League Manager of the Season awards. That's pretty good. And 4 LMA Manager of the Year awards.
He had a win percentage in the Premier League with Manchester United of just over 65%.
That's mental. Never finished below 3rd in his entire Premier League career, did Sir Alex Ferguson, and he was able to get the best out of ridiculously bog standard average players.
Yeah, we've had some...
Questionable, I believe, would be a diplomatic word to use in that
questionable, yeah. His last team that he managed was... How he won the title with that team,
it's a true testament to how good a manager he was.
So moving on to my second choice, you will sense a general theme with mine. My second choice is Nemanja Vidic. I've gone for Vidic, but basically whenever he played for Man United, he was one of my favourites. The man was never scared to get stuck in anywhere. And he was a rock at the back and worked so well along with Rio Ferdinand. He played 211 games in the Premier League and had 95 clean sheets in that time, which again speaks for itself. He was captain for quite a few of those. He won 2 Player of the Season awards and 1 Player of the Month award. I genuinely can't think of many defenders better than Nemanja Vidic in the Premier League era.
So my second choice is a sentimental one, but it's also based in stats, and stats never lie. My second choice is Alan Shearer. Premier League's top goal scorer with 260 goals. That's bloody insane, that is. He has the most Premier League goals in a 42-game season, that being 34. Most Premier League hat-tricks of 11. He scored the most Premier League penalties, 56. Most Premier League goals in a single game, 5. And the fewest Premier League games to 100 goals. He did that in 124 games. On the theme of stats, he has 1 Premier League title with Blackburn in 94-95, 3 Premier League Golden Boots, and 1 Player of the Year in 94-95, where he happened to win that Premier League title.
Not with Newcastle.
Not necessary. So due to that fact that he scored a whole heap of goals, most amount of goals, the biggest heap of goals, there is absolutely no doubt that Alan Shearer deserves his place in the Premier League Hall of Fame.
My third pick, again, spot the theme everybody, is Paul Scholes. As we mentioned about Sir Alex Ferguson, I think the name Paul Scholes kind of speaks for itself. I mean, if he ever learned how to tackle, he probably would have been the best player in the world. He played 499 games for the club, and in those 499 games he had 107 goals and 55 assists, and that's just the Premier League. As was mentioned earlier, you know, some other stats were brought into it, you know, for Premier Leagues and stuff. I've kept mine, or Premier Leagues, FA Cups, Champions Leagues, whatever, I've kept mine specifically to just Premier League. So to have that ratio in the Premier League was quite good for a midfielder. He won 11 Premier League titles at Old Trafford and was Player of the Month 4 times during his career. And again, I'll mention the goals that he scored. I mean, some of the volleys that man scored were ridiculous.
Choice number 3. Yes, France. Yep, multicultural. Yeah, it's Thierry Henry. It's Thierry Henry. Why have I done that? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. 2 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cup winners' medals, 1 Champions League, 6 PFA Team of the Years, 2 Premier League Player of the Season, and 3 Premier League Golden Boots, tied, funnily enough, with Alan Shearer. He is Arsenal's all-time top goal scorer with 228 goals. He has the record for most assists in one season, 20 assists in one season, along with scoring loads of goals. The man is a freak. And the most consecutive 20-plus goal seasons with 5. He scored 20-plus goals 5 seasons in a row. Possibly the most naturally gifted finisher that the Premier League has ever seen. The man had pretty much everything. He had pace, he had power, he could score on left foot, right foot with his lovely shiny head. And even with, well, he never scored with his hand, but you know, people don't forget these things, Thierry.
My 4th choice for this now is the most decorated player in Premier League history. It's Ryan Giggs. With just the 13 Premier League titles. I mean, if anyone ever matches or beats that, well, fair play to them. He was Player of the Month twice whenever he played. He also only managed the club for a few months and actually thought he was going to get the job over the heads of that, but we'll maybe steer clear of that one. That didn't really go too well. Now managing Wales, Giggs played 632 games at Old Trafford during the Premier League era, and in those games he scored 109 goals and he had 162 assists. Can't really go wrong with those stats. I mean, Giggs was always considered the flying winner, shall we say, down the left-hand side, where he had the pace to knock it past somebody and beat them, and it worked well with Beckham on the other side, who didn't need to have the pace. He was just able to run the ball around you, and they complemented each other quite well.
My penultimate pick, because he took a lot of penalties, that's a very tenuous link, it's Frank Lampard as my 4th pick. 3 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 1 Champions League, 1 Europa League, 1 Premier League Player of the Season, and a bloody partridge in a pear tree to boot. He is Chelsea's all-time leading goal scorer, and he's done that from midfield. Take that, Adrian Mutu. 3-time PFA Team of the Year, and this is possibly the most staggering thing. He's got 10 consecutive seasons of 10 plus of double figure goals. I didn't explain that very well, but it's very impressive. For a lad who Chelsea paid 11 million quid for in 2001, which was the equivalent of, what, bloody Bayern, I don't know, Liechtenstein, I guess. He's definitely paid that back in spades, and now as manager of the club hopes to build another generation of Chelsea legends.
And finally, I'm moving on to striker for my fifth and final choice. And there's still, the theme is running through it, but it's a little bit of a change. My last one is Robin van Persie. Robin van Persie, who obviously played for Arsenal and played for Manchester United in the Premier League, scored 144 Premier League goals and 280 Premier League appearances, which was frightening, really, to be honest. He also had 53 assists in those games. He won a Premier League winners' medal with Manchester United. He was the Premier League Player of the Month 5 times, and he also won 2 Golden Boots. I mean, he just had a, like Ryan Giggs, he had a wand of a left foot. I mean, to see a naturally left-footed player in their prime is actually, it's quite nice to watch, to be honest. So my fifth and final choice is Robin van Persie.
And to round this off, my fifth and final choice, you better chickadee check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself. It is, of course, Petr Cech. Oh, I'm disgusted with myself. Strap yourselves in, because there's a lot of silverware about to fly at your head. 4 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, 1 Champions League, 1 Europa League, 4 Premier League Golden Gloves. Technically not silverware, but you get the gist. You can use the gloves to catch all of the silverware that's flying at your head. There you go. Useful. Very useful indeed. Most Premier League clean sheets, 202. You would never thought of that, considering his last few years in the Prem, but we'll never mind that. Never mind. Forget all of that. And he has the most clean sheets in one season at 24. Fair play to you for a man who can't spell the name Peter correctly. Very good. You've done very well there. So there we go. That is our 5 individual nominations for inductees for the Premier League Hall of Fame. There's no doubt that they'll all get in there at some point.
Yeah, well, you would like to think so.
Yeah, it's just as and when. So who do we think will actually be the first 2? We mentioned earlier the speculation of who it would be. You'd imagine Ferguson is one of them.
I would imagine it's going to be Ferguson and Giggs.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably the most decorated manager and the most decorated player, you'd assume.
Yeah, you can't really look too far past them at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So anyway, yes, those were our picks. Why don't you, with your picks, sound off in the comment section, let us know what you think.
So just before we sign off, it's time for the requisite plug stuff. I don't mean that in a sexual way. Unless you're into that, we can maybe launch a Patreon. That could be a top tier reward that you could go for. But believe me, nobody wants to see that. Unless you do, if you do want to see that and you want to throw an absorbent amount of cash our way, I'm sure we could swallow our pride. Pride. We're only swallowing pride. Of course, if you did enjoy this video, do hit that like button, do hit that subscribe button, and do hit the bell for notifications as to when we make new videos such as this. We have a whole rack of football-based tomfoolery on the channel. I'm sure you'll find something that you like. Keith, where can people find you on the internet if they wish to do so?
On the internet, I am on Twitter at _machine01, capital T on the and capital M on machine. You can find me on Twitter at shutupbrett, and you can find me on Instagram as well, bmillen90, I believe. Get you and your Instagram.
I know. It's mainly for following. Oh, never mind. I won't finish that sentence.
I'm old. I don't know what Instagram is.
Neither do I, really. But I believe it's how you can find out, units of weight in a very quick manner. Instant gram. See, there you go. I'm 2 years younger than you, but it's 2 years that make all the difference. We're very old, man. Yeah, God, we remember Neil Shipperley playing at Nottingham Forest. And
I remember Steve Grizovic playing at Coventry.
Richard Shaw at Coventry. God, there you go. Look at us having conversations. You should have conversations too. Talking is good. It's good to talk. Bye now. Bye.